So Rami posted this video on the Hangout a few days ago, and he was asking what maneuver is it and how can it be broken down so that he can learn this maneuver. So I would call this maneuver full Piro Tictocs with throwdowns. And the reason for that is that between each end of the maneuver, from moving from left to right, the model is actually doing a full pirouette rather than a half. So it's either doing 1 or 2 pirouettes. And also it's a very aggressive throw down at the ground at the end of the maneuver, and then it's a catch, and then it kind of pops up and then gets thrown down the other way. Now, most of the replies on the Hangout said it was a pirouetting rainbow. I wouldn't necessarily go with a rainbow as the description. In the traditional sense, a rainbow is more of an arc and it has a really clean stop. Whereas you'll see at the end of these, it kind of stops and it bounces and it skips up, and then it kind of then gets dragged across aggressively to the other side before it stops just for the ground, bounces up again and then returns. So I definitely feel that these are full Piro Tictocs with throwdowns. So I really like full Piro Tictocs. In fact, I think they're far more graceful and manageable than half Piro Tictoc. So how do you learn a maneuver like this? Well, we're going to start from the absolute basics, where we're going to do some 4-way rainbows, and then we'll go on to things like 4-point rainbows and 2-point rainbows, and then we'll really work through those exercises. And there is a reason that I break it down like this. So often you'll find when you're doing something in one orientation or one row or one direction, you'll find that it's really easy, it comes super natural, and it just seems to work. And then one day you decide, okay, I want to do it with a Piro direction the other way, and you find it absolutely impossible. And this is completely normal, because what's happened is you've learned the way that is most natural to you, and it all just seems to work and flow. However, when you have to do it in an unnatural direction, what happens is you really struggle because you haven't learned how to break it down. So in the rest of this video, we're going to go through those steps of breaking it down into the absolute basics of what you need, and then build it up into the full Piro Tictoc. So the first exercise we're going to do is called 4-way rainbows. So this is just a regular medium to large rainbow. So you're going to go all the way out and then you're going to come back towards yourself and try and get to the same position each time. And then we're going to turn 90 degrees and then we're going to do these rainbows in all 4 orientations. So this is just to make sure that you have the basic understanding of all the orientations that we're going to be going through. So in full Piro Tictocs, this is how you're going to see the model. You're going to see it in the nose down position, you're going to see it nose left, nose right, and nose up. And you have to maintain that curve as it goes away from you and comes back to you. And there are a couple of variations of the rainbows that we want to do as well, because straight ones are sort of very simple and there's no real change in your cyclic. So then we're going to do a Tictoc one. So as we go up, we do a little Tictoc in the middle, get to the other end, come back and do a Tictoc. And what this is going to force you to do, instead of being lazy, where you just get to hold the cyclic and collector as it goes over, you're actually going to have to really work it now. So you're going to come up, you're going to Tictoc it, and then you kind of have to re-establish that curve and that arc that you're doing to try and land in the same position. And this can be really tricky, especially when you start doing the nose left and the nose right versions. And you want to get them to land in the same place each time, ideally. And the third variation of the 4-way rainbows is just a change of direction. So as you go up, just either push the model to the left or the right, and then as you come back again, try and straighten it out and land right in front of you, exactly as it was before. And it doesn't matter which direction you can go, you can turn to the left or turn to the right. And once again, this is just getting you to have more control. So as we said, rainbows can be fairly easy. Once you've established that arc, it just kind of goes. And now this is forcing you to correct the direction. And this is what we're going to have to do when it comes to full Piro Tictocs. And now we're going to do 4-point rainbows. So this is going to be the same rainbow that we did in the previous exercise, but we're going to do 4 90-degree turns in the rainbow. So as you start the rainbow, you're just going to do a 90-degree turn and then carry on up. And then as you get to the center, you're going to do another 90-degree turn to nose down, and you're going to carry on over the rainbow, 90-degree turn, and finish nose up. Now in theory, if you've gone through the previous exercise, you are completely okay with all the orientations that are going to happen here. So this exercise is actually all about just building up your speed that you can do that orientation. So you do that 90-degree turn and you need to figure out where the model is and how to carry on the rainbow in the correct shape. And that takes a while. That's just that processing that you have to do. And the point of this exercise is to get that faster and faster. So you can just go up, do the 90-degree turn, and immediately just carry on with the rainbow. And that's actually why I really, really like this exercise. Initially, it'll be super slow. You'll end up going the wrong way. A couple of things will go wrong. But you just persevere for a couple of minutes and you'll feel that you'll start anticipating where the helicopter is going to be when you do that 90-degree turn. When you get to the point where you can anticipate it, you can also be a lot faster, so you can then carry on flying the rainbow. And this exercise, just a few minutes, and you'll start feeling those 90-degree turns will get smoother and smoother. It's a really great exercise. It feels very like you're making progress. And this is also really useful to use in a case of where, let's say you've got the full Piro Tictocs down, but you're kind of skewing out of the maneuver a bit. What you can do is then you can break it down into the 4-point Piro, and you can immediately see maybe that when you're in the middle and you're supposed to be completely vertical with the boom straight up, you can see that perhaps it's skewing off slightly to the side. So then you know that, well, you have to correct it between the first 90-degree turn and the 2nd-degree turn. And then it's a nice, easy way of identifying where things are going wrong in a full Piro Tictoc. Honestly, try this maneuver. I think you'll really enjoy it, and I think you'll see progress straight away. And the third exercise is the Piro Rainbow. So this is just going to consolidate what you've done in the last 2 exercises, and it's going to get you used to moving the cyclic stick in a circular motion. Now, because the rainbow is fairly big, it should give you time to think. So as you go through each of those 4 positions that you've already learned, it should give you just enough time to kind of figure out where your cyclic stick needs to be, but it also gives you enough time to put the corrections in. And if you're struggling with this exercise, I would go back to the 4-pointer exercise and maybe try and speed that up, or use smaller rainbows so the changes are closer together. Because the better you are at the 4-point rainbows, the easier it's going to be to have the model rotating or pirouetting slowly, and it'll give you more time to think. So we're now at the final bit of the process, and this is where you have to go off and you have to start practicing. You have to take that Piro rainbow that you've got to start making it shorter, and you've got to start making it a little bit tighter. And what will happen over time, and this is not a quick maneuver to learn. This is not something you can just go out and block practice for a weekend and suddenly you can do it. This is the maneuver that will take months, if not years, to refine, and every year that you do it, it'll get better and better. So what you need to do is first to shorten that rainbow, make it a bit tighter, and break it up a bit. Don't just start the pirouette and just carry on for half an hour doing pirouette and trying to figure out the inputs, because then you'll build bad habits. What you need to do is break it up, so break up the frequency. So maybe do a fast Piro Tictoc and then slow it back down again, and then see if you can do 2 fast ones in a row and then slow it back down. And also go back to the 4-pointers to try and build really good habits. You can also do this as a 2-pointer as well. So you'll do a 2-pointed rainbow where in the middle you'll be nose down, and then you'll carry on to the other side and end up nose up, and then do the 2-pointer back again. And you want to be working towards getting this as close as possible or as tight as possible, and getting the main shaft to go over straight. So get a really clean, flat Piro Tictocs. And that's it. I don't think there's any trick from here onwards. You just need to keep trying, and you need to make it varied. Try a couple continuous ones in a row. Try some where you're actually stationary on each end. So you stop on each end and then you go into it. This is a very long process. So just do a couple every session, and after a while they'll become really, really natural. I'm sure you've had enough of listening to me by now. So what I'll do is I'll stop here, and we'll do the throwdown section and troubleshooting in another video. Now, I think you'll really like full Piro Tictocs. I find them a lot easier on the machine than half Piros. You can definitely do them with less stress on the model, and even with lower head speeds as well. And when you turn it into something like a full Piro Tictoc circuit, it can be really, really graceful. So let me know if you're having specific issues with Piro Tictocs, and I can address that in the next video. And I hope you found this one really useful. Until next time.